All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow, and remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I got a very special guest for you. Give you a couple of words about my guest. Truth, unapologetic, author, speaker, all the way from the West Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Miss Sheri Lewis.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Representing the West Coast for real. I'm LBCW, Long Beach, Compton, Wilmington. I bring us with me, okay?
Look here, y'all. She's bringing a whole cluster. All right, okay. All right, man.
All
y'all today.
I am my community.
Okay, I love it. I love it. And that is why you are here.
Yeah.
And, man, look, we finna dive right in, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't know how much more time we're going to have, but I can tell you right now, this is going to be a very powerful conversation today. Okay? So, let me just give y'all her flowers. Man, look, I'm not going to give y'all her flowers, but I'm about to give her flowers. But y'all, why she needs these flowers. Listen up. 20 plus years in personal management, human resource, relationship building. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we all know what it is. You're on the job. You're not liking the boss. You're not liking these rules. There's a certain employee keep coming in late every day, making you get in trouble for. Man, who do you go talk to? Talk to somebody in HR. But, what if the person in HR doesn't quite look like you and don't quite understand where you're coming from? You might have an issue. But before we really get into it, let me tell y'all a couple of more things about Miss Sheri Lewis now. She's an author. 2 books I'm about to tell you all about, okay? Because I want to say you've written 4 books, correct?
Yes, 4.
Okay, so 2 of these books we're going to talk about. If it ain't one thing, it's the people at work. And I know people can relate. Stop playing. Keys for dealing with people at work. These are very, very key items. Amazon, pick them up. They're there. Okay.
That's right.
So now, these are just some of the things. Now, I can go down the line, but these are just some of the things that you've done in the field, which qualifies us to talk about what we're going to talk about today, and that's bias in the Black hiring process. Todd, why would you say those things? Oh, well, because there's bias in the Black hiring process, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not act like it's not true, okay? Let's not act like it's not real. Even for some of us who sit in a higher position than some of the people that we work with, you're just probably one of none that sit in the room that represents, the people that you work with. So we finna get all into this today. All into it, okay? So, Miss Sheri Lewis, you sent me a video, okay? Or I so happened to come across a video that was sent to me, and you were on this video. And these were some of the things that you were talking about, and that resonated with me. Because I am a Black male, and I've been in situations where, I didn't get a job because of a certain fit or certain types of, this person was more qualified or There's always been something. So let's really talk about what, was in the video. So Black hiring processes. Now, you talk about Black unemployment versus Black employment. Can we speak a little bit on that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a misnomer and a misunderstanding about the real rate of unemployment in general. Okay. So what is an unemployment rate based on to begin with? Okay. In order to compute an unemployment rate, you have to have filed an unemployment claim. Okay. That's what determines what the rate is. So now, if you didn't even file an unemployment claim, you're not in the rate.
Hmm.
If you filed an unemployment claim and you've exhausted the period of time by which you're now eligible for it, you're not in the rate. So there's two groups of people that may not be in the rate. If you've been unemployed once and collected unemployment, you got a job for a short period of time and you then became laid off, which is unemployment. When you go back again, all of that time is bridged together because it's a tracker of time. So you may or may not be in that rate. Their true unemployment rate is almost always higher than the rate that's reported.
Mm.
So that's the first thing I think that is a great misnomer, especially when I hear politicians talk about how the unemployment rate went down and things look good under this democracy and they really helped unemployment go down. No, unemployment didn't go down. The people who were eligible for it went away. So let's start there, okay? Let's just do some basic math and say we no longer see John Doe and Susie Jane and Henry Sue, not because they got a job, but either because they're no longer eligible for unemployment, so they're not in the claim. Are they stopped looking altogether? It's been years. Are they just decided that they're just going to work some kind of hustle and flow where you don't see them, but they're really unemployed when it comes to the rate of unemployment? So that's understanding the rate. Now let's talk about how it impacts Black people, right? So when you have particularly Black Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have Blacks on unemployment for a long period of time, okay, and they're no longer eligible for unemployment, then what's going to happen? They're going to either become homeless, which you can't commute a homeless rate, you just see homeless people,
Mm-hmm.
or they're going to be what many in criminal justice say as potential for crime, because crime goes up when people are unemployed. And all of these different factors factor into not just unemployment, but unemployed Black Americans. And this is a concern because many employers don't recognize the rate because the rate is computed outside of their domain. So it's what I mean by very subtle. It's very hard to detect. It's almost like saying the plus sign between a 2 and a 3. Okay, so you go 2 plus 3. The plus sign is what gives the result, the value you come up with. But you're ignoring the plus sign is there to begin with. It's just that subtle. So it's important for us to see now, and this is a question you may have, but I'm leading into it, I guess, is that with COVID and so many people went away from work, when they come back to work, how are these companies going to equalize their revenue stream and bring everyone back to work? And who's going to be impacted by job loss? That's the concern that I have, right? And that's the problem that I think is not as addressed as it should be to begin with.
So, okay. I have to, deal with real life here. And I mean, I'm a very transparent person, and I don't mind putting myself or my life out there like that at this time. But I work remotely for a school out in LAUSD, which is Los Angeles School
Unified School District. Yes.
Okay. It is a non-public school, however, but they do have to go by the rules of LAUSD. And there have been conversations within, our factions or what have you about reopening and coming back and what it's going to look like coming back.
Yeah.
And, we have to fill out surveys or what have you about how we feel and this, that, and the other. And there have been meetings, and in these meetings, I will tell you, Sheri, I'm just going to be as transparent as possible. To me, it sounded almost as if it was a money grab, where, man, I'm going to tell you all these things, and we're just ready for these kids to come back, and it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. But at the same time, I really don't care. How are you really trying to keep employees safe? How are
safe or return to work?
Well, safe when they come back to work. So you want us to return to this job, and you're saying that all these things are going to be in place for us, but you don't sound assured by it. It's almost as if it's lip service, because look, I have heat coming from elsewhere, and and that heat is making me say these things to you all, because I need you all to just, hey, do as I say, get back in here so I can get this heat off my back, and whatever happens. I'm not with that. And I can sort of understand, like, especially now with COVID, you already have African Americans who are somewhat leery of going, places here and there, especially those who are in education that are somewhat forced to go back. Now, I'm just going to keep it real. Now, you deal with relationship building. Now, I'm pretty sure, man, some of these people before COVID hit were already having tense situations with their coworkers or a cohort of some kind. Now, you're making people somewhat come back into a situation that they're not ready to come back into. So all that, like, animosity or whatever that I may have let slide now comes back, because now I look at you as the enemy. How can those who are, being put into this, like, bulk almost, in a sense, have some form of leverage when it comes to, like, reopening? Because, like you said, okay, it's one thing to be unemployed, but unemployable?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because let's keep it real, because let's not act like some of these jobs don't threaten people. Well, hey, your livelihood may be at stake if you don't come back. We may go out and get somebody else, which they won't. But still, So let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Can I unpack some of what you said? You brought so many worthy points up. Okay. So one of the first things you said is it felt like it's about the money, right? Mm-hmm. It's grab the money kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we have to remember that any business is about the money, okay? At the end of the day, it's about the money. And if you're not making money, you won't be in business long. So I understand that. It's about bringing in fresh revenues. It's about balancing your bank slip every month against your payroll and your payroll. It's a lot of different dimensions that most employees don't even see, but it is about the money. And then you mentioned about a safe work environment. And I'm sure you're in reference to COVID specifically. Mm-hmm. I will say this to you, and I will even go further off the limb and say that more than likely, I'd say, how they say Lysol is 99.9%, so I can go 99.9% and say that most employers want their workplace safe for their employees. I will say that. And I know for me, it's my number one priority. I work on safety more than anything, as far as not just this virus, but is your work environment safe for you? Do we have the tools that would make work safe for you? Even anything for handicap restrooms and things like, it's very important for me that work is safe for our employees, for the entire population. Mm-hmm. So that's at the top of my list at all times, is workplace safety. But it's also for most employers, because that is where they get hit first with mitigating risk, okay? So you want to make sure that the risk isn't there. You want to make sure the liability isn't there. You want to make sure you provide this safe work environment. So they more than likely are not going, if they're smart, they're more than likely not going to bring their personnel back until they're 100% ready. They're going to probably, like we're doing, kind of segue people back into the roles and bring you back softly back in. But I can say this, you mentioned to employees who may not be getting along. So the impact of COVID, we have all had what I would call a mental health hit by COVID.
Whew.
You cannot have this kind of what I call shaking of the soul. It started, hey, you know what, Ty? It started with, to me, it started with our shock of how Kobe died. Okay? So that already shook us. That already shook us.
That's true.
And then COVID happened. And then we went into this pandemic mode where we were quarantined. And what do we do? And so all of this has been happening, and then lives were lost and lives were lost. And we as human, so what is humanity but human and the university of humanness, we are not accustomed to so much shock so often, unending. So we all have been hit by a sense of mental health. And for two individuals who already didn't get along, the expectation, really, if you ask me as an HR person, the expectation is that you become as tolerable as you can. Because now the problem that you used to bring before us is so small comparatively, because we have to worry about bringing people back into the workplace from COVID, trying to recover revenue. We just really need you to be an adult and get along and treat people with the respect, right? Treat people with the respect that you would want to have for yourself. And this too is a part of working well with that. This is what my books are about. Can you just find the kindness confetti within yourself to just overlash everybody with a sense of kindness and be the bigger person? Things that people do at work that I call shady and shoddy and shameful. Okay, it's my 3 S's: shady, shoddy, and shameful. When you get to shameful, I probably need to have a conversation with you, because you just became shameful. When you don't answer a person email, when you are not courteous at work, when you leave a drawer open and someone comes around the corner and runs over, you just cause a workers' comp. Now we got to deal with somebody got hurt at work. When you don't return a text, and you have a company phone that was supplied to you, all of this, what I call soft ghosting, is absolutely unacceptable in life in general, but certainly in the workplace. Because who are you to exert such false superiority in the first place? So let's start with fixing you. What's within you that would make you so shady, shoddy, and shameful to do that? And if we needed to interview you all over again based on these things, would we hire you now? You see?
Right. Yeah.
And this is a part of the problem with workplace behavior. And let me tell you where I think a lot of this comes from. I saw in several of your other interviews, you introduced me to this term that's called doom scrolling.
Yes, doom scrolling. Yes.
Doom scrolling. And it is the negativization of what I call social media. You're mean. You acting mean. Social media. And you bring that into the workplace, because guess what you're doing? You're watching reality TV shows at home where all of them don't get along. And you say, hey, I'm not that bad. I don't do that. But you're slowly but surely doing that. So who fix you? So let's start with your own behavior. This is what I mean about the workplace and what you bring into the workplace. You drive to work today, you got caught by a train and you're upset by that, and you bring that energy into the workplace. You drink a ton of coffee. Do you think the coffee is going to give you energy? No, you need a good night's sleep. All of these different basic things in life because people spend time, I hate to say it, negativizing others and putting down others and making others feel small. It is a form of bullyism.
True. Very
And
true.
it does not belong in any work environment.
Mm.
And it is something that you see my energy shifted just talking about it. My energy shifted because it's so unacceptable to me when you don't find worthiness in another person. By default, you are judging them.
Mm-hmm.
By default, you are making yourself superior to that person.
Mm.
And so here we are again to the point of this talk of how you don't even notice a Black candidate in front of you. They've disappeared. So that's a form of ghosting too. They've disappeared because you don't even have the courtesy to recognize this strong, talented individual with credentials and a work history and great references equal to anyone else that we interviewed is not even one of your finalists. Explain that to me in a way that I would understand it.
Now,
right?
Okay, so with that being said, you talk about, and man, you talk about this term, and I find it spot on, imbalanced equal opportunity.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm just going to take it a step further, real quick. In the whole Black Lives Matter issue. Okay, now, just let me say my piece. Okay, all right. So man, look here. I don't want y'all coming over like, we ain't trying to listen to him no more. Listen. The Black Lives Matter piece. Okay, you see all these companies. Hey, we're going to donate X amount of millions of dollars to the Black Lives, Matters movement. We're going to donate all this money. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. We're money. We're going to throw all this money at you. So, man, that way, our fault for watching you shop at our store and someone followed you around, even though we won't do it again. But that's okay, man, this, that, or what have you. But you also, Sheri Lewis, talk about this as well. Top tier leadership.
Yeah.
So if you're saying that you're doing all this, you're putting all this money in for this organization, you're trying to bring, man, I hear this all the time, and even we have one. But we're gonna have a diversity leadership team. And usually when you go to the diversity leadership team, for those of y'all who really don't know what a diversity leadership team really looks like, it don't look nothing like what you think it should look like, okay? You expect it, or what it should look like is people like myself, other people of other nationalities, maybe a couple of other African Americans as well, maybe an Asian, maybe a Mexican, maybe, some Hispanic person or what have you. But no, when you go to most of these diversity team meetings or whatever, man, everyone up there is mostly suburban, white suburban. Let's just keep it real, and they want to speak on the Black experience, but they don't want to really cater to the Black experience. So
you said that word. You said a lot because the new term is talking about diversity in the workplace, right? Mm-hmm. And it took 2 years before the acronym for diversity in the workplace was approved. Because truly, if you have diversity, it starts with the goal, which is diversity. Mm-hmm. It's followed by the intention, which is inclusivity, and it ends with the result, which is equity. Mm. So it's diversity, inclusion, and equity. But they didn't like the acronym because that spells die, D-I-E. So they said it's gonna die at the beginning.
Well, I mean, hey,
it's like they So now when you see it, even if you Google it, you will see that they changed it to DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, because they didn't want to say that it dies at the beginning. So it's the power of the word. Hey, you're the word guy. It's the power of the word and the use of the language to identify what you're really talking about beneath the surface. And are you actually doing that when you include some that shouldn't be there and exclude many that should be there? How can you tell me my experience if you've never walked in my shoes? Okay? So start with the unveiling of the biases that you don't see. And I understand it's hard to recognize that. That is why I've taken the word recognize and I call it reckon. Like I'm gonna have a reckoning with you. I call it recognize. Because if I gotta everybody say, oh, Sheri, you get it. Yeah, because I do this every day. And so I'm trying to softly hand it over to you and go, see, why didn't you see this? And they just don't see it because it's easier for me to see it in you than it is to see it in me. And that's a part of this difficulty in having this conversation, because as I said in the video that you saw, is I really don't think that it's across the board intended, but the results and the facts are there to show me that it is. So that means it's an unnoticed bias. It's an discounted bias. It is a negativized bias, because if I bring it to you, you will deny it. So you negativize the fact. And that's why it's so difficult for us to realize that the employment banner represents that and does not represent us. Perfect example. Can I give you a good example?
Come on.
Science and science fiction. So LeVar Burton was just on the other day, and I love following him. And he was saying that when you don't include us into science discovery, and science is on the frontier of the future, then you don't include us in the future. So you don't see, we're not scientific. You go to most of your companies and you look at the scientific strategy that's by their leadership. You don't see us bringing that to the table. And so if you don't have me as a part of your future, then by default, you've made me disappear. So this is a soft goal. So you made me disappear from the future. You made me disappear from employment. You find that most individuals that can't is either prison or homeless. How can you account for the homeless? The homelessness here is crazy. And what happened to Bond Measure H money? Bond Measure H money was multiple millions to help rectify homelessness, but homelessness got worse. That's a problem. That's a problem.
That's a big problem. You know, it sounds like the tale of, and someone just said this, there's a tale about a wolf who was thirsty, and there was a blade that was covered in ice. The wolf licked the ice for so long that he actually thought that he licked through the ice to the blade, but he actually thought the blade was like ice, so he kept licking at it, and eventually kept cutting his tongue.
Yeah.
He eventually died.
Yes.
That's pretty much, and sorry to be gruesome, everybody. Sorry to be Debbie Downer or whatever. But we talking real facts here, ladies and gentlemen.
That's 100%.
Man, sometimes real facts are not pretty. Sometimes real facts are what they are, facts. And sometimes the truth is ugly. So look at it. Okay.
It's difficult. You saw the movie The Matrix?
Yes.
Red pill, blue pill. What can you really handle? And since I would say really got my light bulb moment on this. And again, I've been in this field. This has been my field. I segued into it, but it's been my field for 20 years. I didn't really get it until the last 3 years, where I started asking the question, why? What is this? Lift up the carpet. Let's look beneath it. Let's go deeper. And I had to really see it. And what I saw is truth. And I saw that I had a red pill moment. And I had to do something with the truth or feel comfortable and go back to the blue pill because that's all I can handle. Well, I'm an authentic person. So I dealt with the red pill truth. And for those years, I fixed my company. But I realized it's not just my company. This is what it is in America. Black unemployment and Black bias hiring in America. And that was my light bulb moment. It wasn't pretty, but it's like you said, it's the truth. It's the truth. And how do we get that rectified when we're at this moment of returning back to work? Will we return back to work, and what will happen to our scientific future when we're disappearing from the workforce? I know it's deep.
Well, I mean, it's deep because it's real. And I mean, we're disappearing from the workforce. Listen to what ladies and gentlemen, please take heed and listen to what we're saying. We're only going to be on for a few more minutes, but man, take heed into what we're saying. Think about the people that are around you. For everybody who are listening right now, think about when COVID first happened up till now. Think about all the people who have lost their jobs or people who are working remote.
Yeah.
Eventually, yes, people want things to return to normal. But it's like I tell people sometimes, some of these things that we really believe in aren't really real.
No.
It's just a concept of the mind to make you feel a certain type of way.
Yeah.
And when people are talking about when we get back to normal, there is no more normal, ladies and gentlemen. All right. This is here. Whether you're vaccinated, non-vaccinated, or what have you. And that's a whole nother conversation within itself when you're talking about the workplace.
Oh, yeah.
Between Blacks and non-Blacks.
Yeah.
That's a, woo, boy, look here.
Yeah.
You're going to have to come back again. For real, we're going to have to have a part 2 of this, because these are things that, man, like these are real things that affect us every single day.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, Black hiring, biases or what have you, when you want these certain jobs or what have you, and you can't get those jobs and you have to settle, and it's not a knock on these people, but when you have to settle for like a security job that's paying you like maybe $9-10 an hour, or some other type of job where you're still exposed to the public, you're not getting anything beneficial from it at the end of the day. What do you do? Because we are talking about livelihood too.
Yes. So, that's the thing.
Man.
That's the thing. When you eliminate a person's livelihood, you are a moment away from eliminating them. Mm-hmm. And this is what I mean about invisibilizing people. This is what I mean by making you disappear. This is what I mean by you're not involved, you're not a part of what the future looks like scientifically. And this is why I have a really strong disdain when people try to negativize and invisibilize and ghost people. It's really an ego problem of the person who's doing it. It's just a bad trait. So for me, and I think too for me, I recall this time. I recall when I was maybe in my first year of college, I went to my grandfather. I was having, my grandfather to me was everything, wisdom. He was half Indian, and we carry a lot of Indian in our family. And I just really thought that's where the wisdom was, but it wasn't until I was grown that I realized he was just he was a wisdom person. But I remember going to my grandfather and I remember saying, I have two friends who both like me, but they don't like each other and I don't know what to do. And I like them both. And I remember my grandfather saying to me that people will show you who they are. And if you stick with them or not, will show you who you are. When he said that, that was everything. And I said, am I naive to not see? Am I naive? I actually said, am I naive? And this is exactly what my grandfather said. My grandfather said, you are not naive. You are very smart. And you want to see the best in everybody. The thing is, you will go to great lengths to find it, even when it ain't there. And he said that to me. He said, you will keep digging for something good, even when it ain't there. He said, but stay that way because there's few people like, I still remember that conversation because I remember saying, is it me? Is it me? Am I naive? The point of this story is I work very diligently to see good in all people. And you have to prove to me that you're no good. Because I believe that God created everybody good. You may have we all have bad habits, bad character pieces or whatever, but if your intention is to reduce someone through employment or hurt their livelihood or not make it an equal level playing field, that's where I have a problem because that's where the problem is. And it's very challenging to see repeatedly over and over again that such a great candidate such as yourself showed up with 3 other candidates who didn't look like you, but they got the position and you didn't. That's not okay with me. Maybe it's the Black Panther in me, maybe it's the Wakanda, but it's not okay with me.
Well, no, I just like it because, me personally, look, and I may take some heat for this or whatever, but I just have to say this. Sometimes being, a black male in any type of establishment, and I'm just gonna, take it even further, a heterosexual black male in any type of establishment, there's always, at some point in my mind, a target on your back and in your front, because people are trying to trip you up on whatever it is you say. People are trying to trip you up on whatever it is you do. People are trying to trip you up on how, you may look or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's always something, to keep it, okay, what's that for? 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 Never take time out to know the person,
Yeah.
Because we're always, on edge. So,
yeah.
But,
I understand.
Hey, it is what it is, people. That's why we're here to educate, to give you all the knowledge that we possibly can. And, look, like I said, Miss Sheri Lewis, this ain't her last time on the show. I'm trying to tell y'all, she's coming back again. All right? But, for all the people out there who want to get in contact with you, who should get in contact with her, get these books, ladies and gentlemen. If it ain't one thing, it's The People at Work. That's one book, okay? And Keys for Dealing with People at Work. That's the other book. They are both on Amazon.
Yes, right? Thank you.
Listen,
absolutely.
Amazon. I know half of y'all got Prime anyway, because whatever, we ain't even gonna talk about that. Half of y'all got Prime, start playing, get the Prime, they'll be there next day. Okay.
Absolutely.
So Miss Sheri Lewis, if people want to get in contact with you, how do they get in contact with you?
Yes. So I'm Sheri Lewis Speaks Truth on Facebook, Sheri Lewis Speaks Truth on Facebook, and Sheri Lewis Speaks Truth at gmail.com. My website is being developed right now. It's the same handle, Sheri Lewis Speaks Truth. And I'm going to say too that, I do have a social media problem because people post such negative comments, but I know that I really need to Instagram it, and so that'll be soon. It's not right now. I'm about positivity, and I probably will only want to hear from people that are the same, and you can't control that. So I'm about empowering people, enhancing people, giving people opportunities to grow. And if social media can't support that, then I really try and steer clear. But I also want to be a resource. I also want to be a resource. I know you've had many guests on your show, and startup companies, and I would just put myself out there for them to also be a partner to assist them in starting their human resource piece. Many startups have no idea how to do an employee handbook, how to put their safety measures in place, how to be ready for return to work from COVID, and what those measures look like. And they can certainly reach out to me, and I would love to partner with them and to support them that way so that they can be successful in their entrepreneurial role. Yeah.
Okay, see, cooperative economics, people. Y'all know that's one of my things. Look here, if you seen my show, that's one of my biggest things, okay? When we work together to make it all happen. All right. So look here, before we get out of here, man, come to the very last question my show's known for. Sheri Lewis, man, you got to get this question too. So if you can give it to me, man, in a minute or so, man, we got to hurry up and wrap this up. But what is the one word that best describes you and why?
Oh, authentic.
Okay.
Authentic. Authentic is the one word that has been referred to by others to me. Mm-hmm. And it's about keeping it real, being truthful, keeping it real. And I really like to think that I do that effortlessly. Like I said, when we first started, I'm LBCW, Long Beach, Compton, Wilmington. I bring us with me no matter where I go. And I am my community. I'm very reachable, approachable, touchable. And I believe in being authentic and being your real self, because that way you don't have to change for anybody that walks in the room. I don't care who it is. Everybody gets the same person when they meet me. So
that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. That's what's up. Well, man, look here. I have enjoyed it.
Me too.
I think you are, authentic. I just love, how the whole connection happened. And, man, look here. I'm telling y'all again, she's going to be back on the show. All right. We're going to work it out. But I appreciate it. But you just have to keep tuned into what I'm doing over here, because she will be back. I have enjoyed you. I've
enjoyed you, Ty. Let me say this. I've enjoyed you thoroughly, and we have a knitted kindred spirit, and I would just be honored to come back. But can I give your listeners a gift?
Yes. Yes, you
can. For the first 10 viewers that email me and request, I'll send a copy of my book. Either, if it ain't one thing, it's the people at work, or my keys for dealing with the people at work. And I need you to email and request it, because I need to account for my inventory. I'm a giver, and I never arrive on site anywhere without offering some type. So on behalf of my time with Ty and my wonderful experience with you, I would love to give your first 10 viewers who emails me at SheriLewisSpeaksTruth@gmail.com, send them a copy of my book. Okay. Autograph.
Look here. So I'm just gonna let you know, Miss Sheri Lewis, I'm gonna put this in all of the information that I, put out about this. And as well, y'all already know I'm gonna run this on all my social media sites. Man, the first 10 people who emailed Miss Sheri Lewis, man, she got something for you.
I got a gift for you. And I have a last word for you too.
Yes.
I got a word for you.
Yes, I would like to hear that.
I got a word for you. I know that you say no one is worthless, no story is worthless. And you ask, what is your one word? I have a word for you that I call word thee. Like the word thee. Word thee. Ty is word thee. And that is a word that I'm just going to put on you, and you have earned it, brother.
Thank you. Man, look, for real, I am touched, ladies and gentlemen. I am touched. I like it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
You're most welcome. You've earned it.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, even I don't know what's gonna be happening, man, when I turn on, and I get on the show sometimes. But look here, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. Follow me on all social media platforms, all of them. Word with Ty Brownlow. Go to my website, www.tybrownlow.com. Get this wonderful interview plus other great interviews. Go under virtual interviews. Listen to the podcast on Anchor, Google, iTunes. I'm everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So once again, man, Miss Sheri Lewis, I thank you for being on the platform.
I'm honored by you.
We out, people. Peace.